Thank you, gentlemen. Good morning, Reverend Brothers, Mr. Brennan, special guests Vito Gazzubo, Paul Gates from the St. Vincent de Paul Society, staff, men of saints, and of course our parents, carers and friends of saints who are viewing this assembly remotely. Welcome to our final assembly of 2020. It's a year that's produced many challenges of which we have strived to overcome. And today, once again, we celebrate the achievements of our students. Please stand to welcome the official procession. Thank you.
As Indigenous and non-Indigenous people gathering together, let us have a sense of the importance of the country upon which this celebration is being held, where learning and ceremony have taken place over many thousands of years. Let us sense the land beneath our feet and acknowledge to whom it belongs, the Gimawai Walabari Yidinji and the Irriganji people. Let us pay our respects to their elders and all elders, past, present, and future, for we too are one in land, one in spirit, one in faith, united in God's love.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, we would like to recognize the outstanding achievements seen in this college, and also say farewell to teachers leaving us this year. May us as students continue to strive for our goals and be ready for the challenges we face in the future. Amen. St. Marcelin Champagne, Mary our good mother, and let us always remember. In the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Please be seated. Thank you, Miguel and Zach. I would like to invite forward Lucas Mcavoy for his service report.
Good morning, Reverend Brothers, Mr. Brennan, staff, and men of saints. Although this year has had its inconveniences, our college has still found ways to contribute very generously. Earlier this week, we were recognised by the Cancer Council for being the second highest fundraising for the state for Daffodil Day and the highest fundraising in Cairns region for Relay for Life. We contributed more than $10,000 for Cancer Council in these two activities. Our prescription glasses drive has also been extremely successful, with more than 80 pairs of glasses donated for people in PNG. Finally, I'd also like to give a big thank you to all the male staff who grew moustaches to raise awareness for men's health and had to live through the discomfort of the itchiness, heat, and food getting stuck in their mo. We will be collecting donations today for Movember at morning tea at the front of Health and Wellbeing Centre. I'm also here to announce the Community Service Awards to our students for their contributions of service to our college, as well as the wider community. Our college, we accumulated 1,350 hours, and half of these came from grade 11. Each award requires a student to complete a certain number of service hours, inside and outside of the college. For a bronze, they need 10 hours of service. For a silver, it is 15 hours, including at least one in school and one outside. For gold, 25 hours with at least 12 hours in school and 12 hours self-directed. And finally, the Platinum Award is 40 hours, including at least 20 hours in school and 20 hours self-directed. I would ask everyone to please hold your awards. Please hold your applause to the end. The bronze awardees are from Year 7, Callum Robertson, Bastian Simpson-Letner, Noah Wright, Year 8, Jack Brunetto, Thomas Greatorex, Max Poglio, Miles Whipp. The Year 9 bronze, Thomas Gall, Hudson Parker, Will Rogers. Year 10 bronze, Oliver Davey. Year 11 bronze, James Cross. Joshua Devonish. Thomas Lawrence. McCartney Nealon. Mitchell Sullivan. And Kai Easley. For the Silver Awards, Year 11, Ben Bancroft. Andrew Bellaby. Miguel Groth. Antoine Haddad. And Flynn Keel. For the Year 8 gold, Mark Allam. Jaden Cox. Maximus McKinley. For Year 9, Matthew Christensen. The Year 11 gold, Richard Hewlin. Flynn Rigby. And Joel Tenney. Now for the Platinum Awards. Year 9, Darcy Oates. Year 11, Tom Kazubo. James Holland. Myself. Harrison Oates. And Levi Thompson. Now for the IT Service Awards. In Year 9, Matthew Christensen. Ashley DeAndre. Harrison Mussingham. Michael Scarborough. Year 11, Ryan Collins. And Jack Shin. And finally, Michael Doolan. Round of applause for these boys. I'd like to invite our special guest from St. Vincent de Paul, to the stage to accept our donations. Our college raised 35 baskets and an amazing $3,600 of cash donations. I'd like to ask Mr. Brennan to present the cheque to St. Vincent de Paul.
Good morning, men of saints. I'm here this morning as a representative of St Vincent de Paul in order to take receipt of the generous offering that you have gathered for those less fortunate than you and me. I was here many years ago, not in this hall because it didn't exist, but I came to, I think it was a Year 10 information night, and my wife and I brought along 2 Year 10 students who were refugees from a country in Africa. I said to one of them, "Oh, you know, do you think you've got any particular favourite kind of course you might want to do?" And he said, "I looked at the courses, Mr. Gates, and the one that I thought I might do is marine studies. Sounded interesting." We left them here and came back to pick them up and take them home. I said to the same student, "Well, did you put your name down for marine studies?" And he said, "No way! To do marine studies, you've got to get into a boat. I was in a boat for 3 days with no food and no water when I escaped from my country. There's no way I'm ever getting in a boat again." And I was a bit taken aback. I was thinking to myself, marine studies, what did you think you were going to do? I thought, you know, you're going to get into a boat, I'm sure. But he obviously didn't put 2 and 2 together and make that realise that it wasn't just going to be the theory. Now, I tell you that story because they were 2 twins. They were from your school. They were men of saints. One of them is dead. He died 2 weeks ago because somebody tried to steal his wallet and he wouldn't give it to them. So they bashed him up and he died. So how would you be? You come from an African country to escape violence where his father was killed and his mother was raped. You come to escape violence, and in your country where you think everything is going well, a peaceful country like Australia, you get beaten to death. Now, that story is a very sad and stark story, and I hope it doesn't disturb you too much. But it should disturb you a little, because our society here is not perfect. We often like to think it is, but it isn't. We strive to make it perfect, just as at Saints, you strive to make Saints a better place. I used to teach at St Mary's, and we used to have a great rivalry with Saints whenever it came to sport, and I was particularly involved in rugby union. And for a while there, we held our own against you guys. But then you overwhelmed us, and I'm afraid to say that eventually St Mary's got out of playing rugby union with a different principle. So I have a lot of respect for St Augustine's and for the things that you stand for. Many people think that students are in a bit of an unreal world, and people often talk about it's not going to be like that when you get out in the real world. Well, men of saints, you are in the real world. You are not going to get into it when you leave in Year 10 or Year 12. You are in it now. And I think it's unfortunate when that term is used, as though being a student is not being part of the real world. Because many students have done great things and changed many things while they were students. Admittedly, Frederick Osmond, who founded St Vincent de Paul, was a university student, so he was a bit older than you, but he was only 20 when he founded the St Vincent de Paul Society. in the 1800s. It's now in 153 countries, and there are 1 million members, 60,000 of whom are here in Australia. And nearly all of them, well, not all, but because some are hired and are paid, but many are volunteers. They give their time freely. And that's how it operates. Now, most of you, I would imagine, think of the St Vincent de Paul Society as that shop that's sort of like the Salvation Army or Lifeline shop, and possibly don't realise that the St Vincent de Paul Society works in health, particularly mental health. It works in education, it works in housing, and many other different areas, either by directly funding programs or by trying to influence the government to make sure that they are acting justly and fairly to the citizens of Australia. So I'd like to thank you, because you have made your contribution to this tremendous effort, and you have made this small part of Australia, Cairns, a much better place for some people. We haven't, and neither has the St Vincent de Paul, fixed all the problems. But as they often say, you've got to be in it to win it. You're not going to be able to fix problems if you don't try. And you have done good. And I thank you very much for the food that you've collected and the money that you've raised. And clearly, throughout the year, you've done that for various other groups as well. And that is a credit to you. And I applaud your efforts. So thank you very much for your donations this morning. Our truck will be coming at the end of the assembly for the collection of the food, and I'll be taking the cheque in my hot little hands as I leave here, so long as your principal gives it to me. So thank you very much, St Augustine's, on behalf of St Vincent de Paul and all those who will benefit from your donations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gates, and thank you, gents, for your outstanding efforts towards service this year. Today, we recognise those students who have an unbroken attendance for 2020. This is a tremendous achievement, and we celebrate this today. I'd like to invite Mr. Brennan to present these awards. Please hold your applause until the end. Toby Bryan, Lachlan Christie, Ryan George, Jackson Hunter, Patrick Marr, Nauma Mills, Balin Moon, Miles Penaluna, Frederick Rely, Lachlan Taylor, Logan Tia, Xavier Ray David Williams, Angus Ferrari, Benjamin Field, Harrison Folland, Kane Heels, Riley Hubert, Ryan Jones, Linus Joseph, Lucas McCarthy, Patrick Melchor, Bruce Mountford, Kaylin Niesler, Jake Swindale. Ben Vu. Toby Webster. Michael Doolan. Liam Hinspeter Steele. Thomas Hislam. Lachlan McGill. Dyson Nelder. Jamie Steigmeyer. Gabriel Weeks. Ethan White. Hunter Wise. Ryan Bevan. Connor Deng. Robert Field. Zen Hodges. Riley Jackson. Joshua Lane. Jackson Ma. Jacob Merry. Liam Prestipino. Joshua Varney. Cooper Anderson Card. Benjamin Chambers. Miguel Gomes Spronk. Moka Ikahara. Flynn Kia. Saifaloy Kilavarave. Elijah Nicholson. Harrison Oates. Elijah Rai. Let's give these guys a round of applause. Today, I have the privilege of presenting 3 Gold Merit Awards to students of Year 7 and 8. This high achievement is awarded to students that have demonstrated high levels of achievement in the areas of effort, improvement, academic achievement, and Morris charisms. To earn the Gold Merit Award, these boys have been recognised by their teachers on 45 occasions. I will ask Mr. Brennan to present these awards to the boys, and I would ask you to please hold your applause until the end. In Year 7, Caleb Howard. Patrick Ma. And in Year 8, Jude Godfrey. Let's give these guys a round of applause. I would now like to invite James Holland up to deliver his arts report.
Good morning, Mr. Brennan, special guests, staff, and students. As we approach the end of the year, the arts have been the busiest they've been all year, considering the uninterrupted year we've had. A few weeks ago, 8 boys attended the annual State Honours Ensemble program at St. Mary's, run by Griffith University. This weekend-long program was dedicated to bringing together the best young talents of this community and exposing them to play with ensembles much bigger than what we are generally used to here in the far north. At the end of the workshop, the ensembles performed in a concert which showcased all the hard work the students have been working on during the weekend. I would now like to call on Mr. Brennan to hand out these certificates of participation. Denzel Boniface. Matthew Christensen. Angus Hodgetts, Takeshi Holland, Marcus Killian, and Taj Townshend. Could we give these boys a round of applause? Just last week, the college's choir, big band, combined wind ensemble and string orchestra participated in a virtual ensemble competition in Sydney. A recording of several songs were made, then sent out to Sydney for adjudication. I would just like to thank Mrs. Spanenberg and all other conductors for making this opportunity possible and for dedicating all these hours of rehearsal for this to have been a success. Now, sit back and relax as the senior music class will perform for you Norwegian Wood by the Beatles. Enjoy.
One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me. She showed me a room, isn't it good, Norwegian wood. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. I sat on a rug, biding my time, drinking her wine. We talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed. She told me she worked in the morning and started to laugh. I told her I didn't and crawled off to sleep in the bath. And when I awoke, I was alone, this bird had flown. So I lit a fire, isn't it good, Norwegian wood.
Thank you to the senior music class for an outstanding performance. Let's give them another round of applause. I would now like to invite forward Flynn Keir for his academic report.
Thanks, Richard. At the beginning of Term 3, 148 students at the Australian Mathematics competition from years 7 to 12 amongst hundreds of thousands of students in the country. Today, we celebrate the achievements of years 7 to 11. To receive a high distinction, students had to be in the top 3% of the country for juniors and the top 5% for seniors. Similarly, for a distinction, students had to be in the top 20% for juniors and the top 25% for seniors. Can I just please bring forward Richard and Mr. Brennan to present these awards, and hold your applause to the end, please. From Year 7 with distinctions, Cooper Campbell, Owen Downey, Kai Torpy. From Year 8 with distinctions, Kane Heels, Abhinav Kandamala, Jack Foland, Ryan Jones, Declan Cantamessa, Ian Madrano, Bryn Swain. From Year 9 with a high distinction, Futamar. With distinctions, Troy McNeil, Edward Nancaro, Kano Thompson, Regan Crooks, Joshua Garza, Eden Kia, Lachlan McGill, Aidan Cridland, Gareth Thomas. From Year 10 with distinctions, Jackson Ma, Connor Dang, Austin Lewis, Isaac Capon, Oliver Davey, Zachary Downey, and finally from Year 11 with distinctions, Joel Tenney, Finton Churchwood, Stephen Dew, Jay Collins, and Kai Wienert. Can we please give these boys a round of applause? The JCU Skills Award Program for 2020 recognises outstanding students in Years 9 to 11. James Cook University is delighted to recognise students who exhibit the greatest academic achievement or progress in their studies, exemplify a commitment to building the economic and social fabric of their community, as well as demonstrating resilience and perseverance in their studies or extracurricular accomplishments. Each award includes a perpetual shield awarded annually to a student from each year level with a certificate. This year's award winner from Year 9, Kanu Thompson. From Year 10, Noah Conlon. And from Year 11, myself.
Thank you, Flynn. I'd now like to invite forward Matthew Williams and Caleb Nissen to present the peer support certificates.
Good morning, Mr. Brennan, brothers, staff, Year 11 peer support, and men of saints. At the beginning of the year, we were assigned a peer support mate. These boys became our brothers, visiting us every Friday morning to spend time with us, to help us understand the Marist way, and to assist us with any issues that we have had. Today I would like to thank these amazing Marist men for all they have done, and would like to invite Matthew Williams to read the names and Mr. Brennan to present the Year 11s with their peer support certificates.
Please hold your applause until the end. Ben Bancroft, Patrick Barlow, Andrew Bellaby, Fenton Churchwood, Tobias Coolican, Tom Kazubo, Prashant Goel, Medyal Groff, Antoine Haddad, Jed Harrison, Ryan Hall, James Holland, Richard Hewlin, Jacob Jack, Flynn Keir, Noah Keating, Sean Keevers, Ethan Latimer, Thomas Lawrence, Lucas Mcavoy, Bailey Moorhead, Matrotny Neelan, Harrison Oates, Ethan Strawborough, Joel Tenney, Hiroki Terazawa, Levi Thompson, Ty Wiener, and Cade Williams.
Thank you, Matt and Caleb. I'd now like to invite Ethan Latimer forward to deliver a sports report.
Good morning, Mr. Brennan, brothers, staff, and men of saints. Throughout this year, a number of students have excelled individually in their respective sports. The college athletics and swimming carnivals were both held successfully, despite the challenges presented to us by COVID-19. In regards to our team sports, both JSS and CSA have performed outstandingly, with JSS taking out the overall boys title and CSA on their way to a similar result had their competition not been cut short by the lockdown. Today, we acknowledge the achievements of the JSS boys in AFL, basketball, football, touch football, and volleyball. I ask Mr. Brennan to present these boys with their awards. Please hold your applause until the end. For AFL MVP, Harry Cook. Most Improved, Jamie Stegmeyer. for basketball, MVP Ash Moore. Most improved, Hamish Stewart. And the Coaches Award, Lachlan Emhoff. For football, MVP, Luca Moro. Coaches Award, Ryan Cartwright. Touch football, MVP, Lucas Lane. Coaches Award, Charlie Bird. And most improved, Xavier Sims. For volleyball, MVP, Abu John Mai. Coaches Award, Dyson Nelder. And most improved, Chaz Nelder. Let's give these boys a big round of applause.
Thank you, Ethan. I'd now like to invite Mr. Sievers forward for his farewell to staff.
Mr. Brennan, staff and students. Last week we were fortunate to be able to celebrate the contribution Lionel Williamson has made to St Augustine's. His service to others, his authentic faith, his warm and welcoming nature, his humility and presence will be missed. On that theme, we have a number of other staff who will also be leaving us, who also displayed treasured qualities that we respect and will miss. Before I call upon those staff leaving us to come forward, I'd like to mention Mr. McMenamin, who will be taking 12 months leave next year. We also wish Mrs. McGovern all the best next year. It is with much excitement that Mrs. McGovern is taking 12 months leave as she becomes a mother for the first time. So the staff who are leaving us, if I could ask you to come forward, please. Mrs. Sally Hanson. We welcome Mrs. Hanson back from retirement at the end of term 2. It was a luxury to have such an experienced teacher able to step in and fill a hole in the timetable so effectively. Thank you again, Mrs. Hanson, not only for the last 6 months, but for your service to St Augustine's over many years. Mr. Rob Anderson. Mr. Anderson was at St Augustine's for 1 year throughout 2020. In his short time at the college, he fully involved himself in sport, particularly rugby league, and has made a lasting impression on the students he taught. Mr. Anderson leaves St Augustine's as he's accepted the role as head of sport at St Mary's. Mrs. Louise Barnes. Mrs. Barnes has been an amazing leader to the young ladies of Siobhan residence. Nothing has been too difficult, and a welcoming smile, thoughtful disposition, and a readiness and willingness to do whatever is required for the young people in her care has been evident. There is no doubting her invaluable contribution over the last 2 years. Mrs. Barnes has decided that, given this year's pandemic, it is the right time to move south and head home with family. Mr. Ian Barnes. Mr. Barnes moved to Cairns to support his wife, Louise, in her role as head of residence. As a qualified electrician who had previously ran his own large businesses, Mr. Barnes was instrumental in refining the college processes as head of grounds and maintenance. His ability to get the best of his staff is exceptional, and this extended to students who he spent much time with through rugby league, boarding and his daily interactions. Mr. Matt Osmond. As head of Gainey residence, Mr. Osmond has been an outstanding working with our junior boarders, successfully transitioning over 80 young men into boarding and high school. An integral member of the boarding leadership team, Mr. Osmond has led positive change and the ongoing enhancement to our boarding program and its operations. Mr. Osmond has found his calling working with young people, and as a result will complete his degree in teaching and look to embark on a career as a classroom teacher. Ms. Jane Ogilvy. Ms. Ogilvy initially joined Saints as a boarding tutor. The impressive way in which she worked with the boarders led to employment as a graduate teacher in 2017, and in an extremely short time has demonstrated professionalism and innovation, which has added to the breadth of the Haas department. In a role as head of Haas, Ms. Ogilvy calmly led her department, a significant feat during COVID. Miss Ogilvy is moving to Canberra, where she'll be working at St Mary MacKillop College. Mrs Carol Conroy. Mrs Conroy is retiring after 12 years at St Augustine's and 30 years in Catholic education. Her essential work as a cleaner was complemented by her welcoming nature and never-ending positivity and cheerfulness. Miss Conroy now plans to travel extensively. And finally, Mrs Susan Lewis. Mrs Lewis has been an integral part of the Science Department for the past 12 years. Her work with senior psychology and QCAA with the implementation of the new system has been a highlight of her time at Saints. Mrs Lewis has jumped on an opportunity to be closer to her sister and has accepted a position at St Brendan's in Yeppoon. So can you join with me now wishing all the staff leaving us the best from the future brothers.
Thank you, Mr. Sievers, and thank you to all our teachers who are leaving us for your service over the years. I'd now like to invite forward Mr. Brennan for his principal's address.
Thank you very much to Richard, to our Reverend brothers, to staff, to our parents and friends who are watching on live stream, and of course young men of Saints. I'd like to just quickly, before I begin, thank all of the people that again have put together today's assembly. To recognise so many boys, and again to get it right, I really commend those behind the scenes who've been able to make this work. I'd also really like to thank and congratulate the staff who are leaving us at the end of next week. As you heard from most of their stories, with the exception of one, they're all leaving to retire or to move to other parts of Australia, and largely due to family. And it has been a really difficult year for so many people in our community around the fact that to be with loved ones has been so difficult, particularly if they have lived in other parts of this country or in fact anywhere around the world. As you're aware, there's been a number of staff this month growing moustaches, and whilst raising money is important towards the cause, you would have heard me speaking on Mondays about just the importance of getting or acknowledging the importance of your young mental health. The mental health not only of men but of women, of course, but a particular focus on you as young men of Saints. And good friends, as we know, are invaluable. They're there with us to share the best moments in our life, and they're there with us when things are tough, offering a shoulder to lean on or an ear to listen. We often hear when we're talking about friendships about the red flags, and they're so important that we keep an eye on our mates when things aren't going well. The warning signs that something is just not right amongst our friends. I've mentioned the moustache. As I said, for me, it's just I hope when you have seen me wandering the yard, it should be a reminder to you, as I said with the challenge, to bury the hatchet with somebody who you may not get on as well with as you used to. Or at least, mend if it's not a friendship, mend some respect between a couple of people. And you are running out of time, and there's only obviously for all of you till tomorrow afternoon to do that. So I want to continue to challenge you to do that. And really, as I said, the men that have grown the moustaches are supposed to be a reminder to you the importance of doing that. But as I said, they're the red flags, but something we don't consider a lot are the green flags in our relationships. And the green flags are the good qualities in each other that make someone a great mate, somebody that you can rely on. And I was reading an article only on Monday that was produced by the Are You OK Foundation. And they put a bit of an online survey, and you're asked to comment on what makes someone a great mate. And I'd like to read some of these out to you now. A great mate is honest with you. They'll check up on you, have your back, and be there before you even realise that you need them. A great mate is random acts of kindness, particularly to those who may seem out of sorts. A great mate makes regular contact, even just a text to say hello or to share a cheerful photo. A reminder you're thought of can brighten a day.
It's someone who will just sit back with you and be a shoulder to lean on when you don't have the energy to speak. It's honesty, loyalty, and someone who loves and accepts you for the person you are. Somebody you can fully be yourself with and can open up and discuss anything and everything. That person who is there for you always, even in your worst times, not just for the fun days. A great mate can tell when something is off and will reach out and ask if everything is going okay. Even when things are good, it's nice knowing someone is looking out for you. A great mate is someone who remembers small but important facts, like your favourite food or interest. While it is the small things, these facts can be validating to show that someone really listens and cares. A great mate doesn't turn away at your darkest moment. They join you to remind you that you will get well and the light will shine again. A great mate is someone who keeps their word and checks up on you when they know you're going through a hard time. Someone who supports you through the good and bad times. And finally, a good friend will help steer you in the right direction without judgment. So when I read all of those things, I thought, really, if we were to describe what we think is this brotherhood, is this mateship, is what being a Saints man is all about, we've actually encapsulated, well, they've actually, Are You OK? Foundation have actually encapsulated, to me, what I would expect of you as a young man of Saints. To me, what I would expect of every staff member in this school. To me, what I expect of myself as a teacher, as a friend, and as a father. So all of these qualities can help make someone a great mate, and there are so many others as well. So over the course of the next 2 days, I know I've mentioned to you the importance of burying the hatchet, but I'd also like to give you a final challenge, and that is to find those people in this school in your life who do raise those green flags, who do make a difference to your day, who do remember the little things, who do look out for you. And as I said in this part earlier, even when things are good, it's nice knowing that. And I'd really like you over the next 2 days to show that gratitude to that person. Now, it may be difficult to talk to them face to face, but send them a text. If it's a teacher, you might want to send them an email if you don't want to do it in person. But again, I would challenge you, and again, it is all about our mental health before you go on holidays, that we finish well. And in closing, we know this whole year has been a year of uncertainty. There's been deep concerns and levels of anxiety that have not probably been seen previously, certainly in my lifetime. And it has been very difficult. And for so many of the staff here at the school, they just had to keep going. They had to be hopeful and grateful. They had to show leadership. They had to be flexible. They had to stay calm, be decisive and compassionate all at once to ensure that this school remained a safe haven for everybody in it. I guess we're getting to the point, as I said, at the pointy end of the year where we're almost there. And I know I can speak personally that it is a year when everybody, and myself included, are tired. That we have been faced with things that we didn't expect. And there have been times that have been very dark for me personally, where I've wondered where the next day would go and how could we fix a problem that we really hadn't ever seen before. But again, I look at my own journey and I look at the staff that rallied around myself, the leadership team, and you as young men. And I stand up here, as I said, and I mentioned it in the Tolle Lego that you'll receive tomorrow, the yearbook. I couldn't be prouder to be part of this community, more so in 2020 than ever before. So in closing, I wish you all, and I'll speak briefly after Mass, but a very good holiday, but I really do want to encourage you to not waste the next day and a half. Go and see the young men who you may not have had a great relationship for whatever reason this year, and bury the hatchet. Seal the deal or close the deal before you go on holidays. If it's a staff member that you may have had mixed words with, I challenge you to be brave enough to do that. And then really, really importantly, those people that have been your green flags, that have really been there for you through thick and thin. Take the opportunity before you go on holidays. A very well-deserved holiday, a holiday that you'll have a lot of fun with family and friends, but take that time to thank those most in need, or those who've been so special to you this year. Thank you. Before Mr Rigby comes forward and we sing the school song, or we sing the Sub Tuum actually, we are coming into a season in the Christian calendar which is Advent, which is obviously counting down till Christmas. And I'm sure there'll be a number of you who will probably get your Advent calendar next week from the 1st of December. I know I've got a 23-year-old daughter, and my mother has been giving it to her, or the calendar, since she has been born. And her and my 20-year-old son have both requested from their grandmother they continue to get the Advent calendar each day. It's only to get the chocolate, but there is obviously a very significant Christian symbol around Advent. And to just tell you a little bit more about Advent in 2 minutes, I'd ask you to look at the screens.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan, for sharing that video with us. I would now invite you all to stand for our concluding hymn, the Sub Tuum.
Sub tuum praesidium, confugimus, Sancta Dei Genitrix, Sancta Dei